Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're doing an Evil Eye deck profile. So I'm really excited to see you guys because this deck is a super fun deck to play with that basically summons out one insanely powerful monster to your side of the field, equips it with an amazing equip spell, and then as your life points get lower, your monsters get stronger, which is an amazing thing for this deck to be able to do. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron, along with test stands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Leal, Watcher of the Evil Eye. This card is an insanely powerful card and is actually our main deck boss monster that has the ability that when this card is normal summon, you get to add an Evil Eye card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself. And if this card is equipped with an Evil Eye of Selene, quick effect, you can target one special summon monster your opponent controls and destroy it. And you can only use each effect of this card once per turn, and then once per turn during the next standby phase. After this effect was activated, you destroy a card that you control. We then play 2 copies of Medusa, Watcher of the Evil Eye. This card is a really good 2-of in the deck. I have considered playing her as a 1-of, but I really like 2 of her. And she has the ability that when this card is normal summon, you can target an Evil Eye card in your graveyard, except another copy of itself, and add it back to your hand. And if this card is equipped with the Evil Eye of Selene, quick effect, you can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard and banish it, and you can only use the effect of this card once per turn. And then once per turn during the next standby phase, after this effect was activated, you banish a card in your graveyard, which is not that big of a deal to banish a card from the graveyard, but it's still a really awesome effect. We then play a single copy of Basilisk. Basilisk is a good card to play in the deck because it has the ability that if this card, or if you control an Evil Eye monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And you only special summon this card once per turn this way, and then during the main phase, you can send an Evil Eye spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard, which is a really good effect to get the exact card you need in the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Catabalese. Catabalese is a good 1-of as well that has the ability that you can target an Evil Eye spell or trap that you control, and until the end of the next turn, that card cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. And if you control an Evil Eye monster other than Catabalese, while this card's in the graveyard, you can just special summon this card but banish when it leaves the field, helping you go for your Link 2 monster, Gorgon. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Terraforming so we can get to our insanely powerful field spell. This card is a really good 1-of in the deck. We're going to be playing 2 copies of Pot of Duality just for some consistency so we can get to our monsters, because this card lets us reveal the top 3 cards of our deck and then add one of them to our hand, but we can't special summon for the rest of the turn, which is not that big of a deal because this deck basically relies on normal summoning out Leal and going in with that card. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. Pot of Extravagance is really good in this deck because we don't really go into the extra deck all that often outside of our copy of our Empress of the Evil Eye, which is going to be the main card that we're going to be summoning out of the extra. But this card basically banishes 6 cards from our extra deck to draw 2 cards, which is always nice in this deck. We then play a single copy of Evil Eye Confrontation. Confrontation is a good 1-of because it has the ability, if you control an Evil Eye monster, you can target a spell or trap that your opponent controls and destroy it. And if you control an Evil Eye of Selene in your spell and trap card zone, you can banish that destroyed card, and you can only activate this card once per turn. We then play a single copy of Evil Eye Repose. Evil Eye Repose is a good 1-of because it has the ability that when this card is activated, you can banish an Evil Eye card from your graveyard to draw a card. And then once per turn, after damage calculation, if your Evil Eye monster equipped with Evil Eye of Selene attacked an opponent's monster, then you can banish that opponent's monster, and you can target up to 3 of your banished Evil Eye cards and return them to the graveyard, which is a pretty good effect to get the exact cards you need back in the graveyard. We then play 2 copies of Evil Eye Awakening. This card is a really good card as a 2-of because it has the ability to special summon an Evil Eye monster from your hand or graveyard. If you have Evil Eye of Selene in your spell and trap card zone, you can special summon an Evil Eye monster from your deck instead, which is really good to get the exact cards that you need on your side of the field to start link summoning into your copy of your Gorgon. We then play 2 copies of Evil Eye Reemergence. Reemergence is a good 2-of because it has the ability to special summon an Evil Eye token to your side of the field. That's a Fiend Dark level 1, 400 attack, 400 defense, and if you control Evil Eye of Selene, you can special summon 2 of them to your side of the field, which is really good to get 2 tokens on your side of the field so you can start link summoning into your Gorgon. It also has the ability that you can't special summon monsters except for Fiend monsters, and you can banish this card from your graveyard, and your opponent cannot target Evil Evil Eye spell and trap cards that you control with card effects this turn, which is a pretty good effect. We then play 2 copies of Evil Eye of Selene. This card is absolutely nuts for an equip spell that has the ability to equip only to an Evil Eye monster, and it cannot be destroyed by battle or by an opponent's card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target it with card effects either, and each time you activate the equipped monster's effects, or you activate another Evil Eye spell or trap, the equipped monster gains 500 attack, and if it does, you lose 500 life points. And this attack gain remains even if this card leaves the field. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can pay 1,000 life points and then banish an Evil Eye spell or trap from your grave, except another copy of itself, and then set this card to your field, so you never truly lose it. We then play 2 copies of Evil Eye of Gorgonia. This card is a really good 2 of as well, because it has the ability that you equip only to an Evil Eye monster, and you can only activate 1 of this card per turn. This card's name becomes Evil Eye of Selene while in the spell and trap card zone, and then while your life points are lower than your opponent's, the equipped monster gains attack equal to the difference. And you can banish this card from your graveyard and then discard an Evil Eye card to add an Evil Eye spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This card comboed with Selene is going to make your monsters absolutely massive, and it's really amazing when you get both of them on the field on the same monster. We then play 3 copies of Evil Eye Domain. This card is an insanely good field spell that has the ability that when it's activated, you get to add an Evil Eye monster from your deck to your hand. And once per turn, during damage calculation, if an Evil Eye monster attacked while Evil Eye of Selene is in your spell and trap card zone, you can make the battle damage you take from the battle inflicted to your opponent, which is really good. It also has the ability that if this card in your field spell zone is destroyed by a card effect, you can target an Evil Eye monster in the grave and add it back to your hand, which is why you usually pop this card with Surzeal. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing quite a few traps in this build. We're going to be playing a single copy of Evil Eye Retribution, which is the counter trap for this archetype that when a spell or trap card is activated while you control an Evil Eye monster, negate the activation if you do destroy it, and an Evil Eye of Selene is in your spell and trap card zone. This card's activation cannot be negated, turning it into a speed spell 4 counter trap. We then play a single copy of Evil Eye Defeat. You really just need a single copy of this card. I have considered bumping it up to 2, but I really like 1 copy in my build. It has the ability, if you control an Evil Eye monster, you can target 1 monster on the field, and up to 2 if you control an Evil Eye of Selene in your spell and trap card zone and return them to the hand, basically being a compulse. We then play 3 copies of the best trap card in the entire game, and that's going to be 3 copies of Ice Dragon Prison. This card is insane in this deck and has the ability to target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your field, but its effects are negated. Then you can banish 1 monster from both players' fields that have the same type from each other, which is really awesome, because basically if your opponent has a Dragoon on the field, you can bring back Dark Magician and banish the Dragoon and the copy of the Dark Magician that you special summon. If your opponent has DPE and they special summon, or they pop something on your field, then you can bring it back to your side of the field if they have a warrior on their side of the field, and then banish DPE and their warrior, which is really good. Or you can just keep the DPE, which is really good. This card is absolutely nuts and is just really good because you don't have to banish. You can just keep the monster, which is really funny. We then play 3 copies of Crackdown. Crackdown is a really good 3 of as well, because it has the ability that activating this card by targeting a monster your opponent controls and take control of that monster. And then while you control that monster, it can't attack or activate its effects. And then when that monster leaves the field, you destroy this card. This card is a great 3 of in the deck, because basically you're just going to be able to take an opponent's monster and then use it to link summon into your copy of Gorgon. We then play 3 copies of Solemn Strike. Solemn Strike is a really good card because it has the ability that when a monster would be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, you pay 1,500 life points to negate the summon or the activation and destroy it, which is really good, especially since we're pretty much relying on a single monster on our side of the field at all times, with a bunch of traps and spells backing it up. We then play 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment basically says no to everything, and it basically has the ability that when a monster would be summoned or a spell or trap is activated, pay half your life, negate the summon or the activation, and destroy it, which is an extremely good effect to play the Solemn Brigade in this deck to be able to just stop your opponent. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a lot of 3-ofs and 2-ofs in this deck because we are playing a Pot of Extravagance build, so keep that in mind as you play it. If there's any cards that you want to play as a 2-of, you can, but you need to play the Evil Eye of Gorgon at 3. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Gorgon, Empress of the Evil Eye. This card is an insanely good card, and either this or Surzeal is going to be your boss monster for the entire game. It has the ability that it takes 2 monsters, including an Evil Eye monster, to summon this card. It gains 100 attack for each Evil Eye card with a different name in your graveyard, and if this card is equipped with an Evil Eye Slean quick effect, you can target an effect monster that your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn. This card is going to be something that you're going to want to go into every single game because it's a walking negate and it gets absolutely massive, and you can only affect this card once per turn, and then once per turn during the next standby phase after this card effect was activated, you can destroy a card that this card points to, which you can destroy an opponent's monster if it's in the zone that this points to. We then play 2 copies of the Ruler of the Evil Eye. This card is actually pretty easy to go into. You don't go into it as often as you go into Gorgon, but it has the ability that it takes 2+ Evil Eye monsters to summon it, and if this card was link summoned using a monster who has 2600 or higher attack as a material, it can make a second attack during each battle phase. And if this card equipped with an Evil Eye of Slean quick effect, then you can target one card your opponent controls and destroy it, and then you can only affect this card once per turn, and then once per turn during the standby phase after this card was activated, you can negate the effects of one effect monster that this card currently points to. I don't go into this card quite as often, which is why I play it as a 2-of over the copies of Gorgon, because it does take 3 monsters and they have to be Evil Eye monsters, which is why I use Gorgon over this card all the time. We then play a single copy of Unchained Abomination, just in case you lock yourself into Fiends, and this card can pop 3 cards a turn, which is just really, really awesome. Play a single copy of Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax. You can make this card every so often when you summon IP Masquerena, so I play it as a 1-of in here, and it's just really amazing to summon this card with IP Masquerena because it's going to be pretty much immortal, which is really, really nice, because it can't, when this card is link summoned as on your field, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, and also monsters cannot target monsters for attacks except for this one, which is really good as well on this card. And if it battles a special summon monster, it gains attack equal to that monster's attack, which is really insane. So basically you're not going to be able to destroy it by battle, and then IP protects it from card effects. So this card is a great 1-of in here. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker just to give us additional pops on the field. You don't have to play this one in the deck. It's a really good card, but it's not going to like basically take the deck apart if you don't play this. So you can play a copy of Boral Sword if you want to, or another Unchained Abomination or Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax. Totally up to you, or even a 3rd copy of the Ruler is an option for you guys. You play 2 copies of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff, 2 copies of Nightmare Phoenix to pop spells and traps, a single copy of Cerberus to pop monsters, because I already have a bunch of ways in the main deck to pop monsters, and then we play 2 copies of IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena is really good because this card can let you go into Unicorn during your opponent's turn, or your copy of your Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax, which is insanely good. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really awesome deck to be able to play. It's super fun to be able to just summon out your copy of Gorgon or Surzeal to your side of the field and just see how like many attack points you can get your copy of your Surzeal or your copy of Gorgon up to, which is just really insane. It's a super fun deck to be able to play with. And anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.